Dear Pastor Gabizon, please, what does this verse mean? From Daniel 12, verses 11 to 12, it says, "From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished, and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days."
Well, thank you for writing. This is indeed a very interesting question. I will briefly answer it, but you can get more information by looking in our last study on Daniel, the book of Daniel in chapter 12. You'll find this in our website as well. So the passage in Daniel 12, verses 1 to 11, adds another 30 days to the 1260 days that we find in Revelation 11 and 12, or the 3.5 years of the tribulation. So Daniel also specifies that these 1290 days will begin at the abomination of desolations, which triggers the second half of the tribulation. That is the last 1260 days of the 7-year tribulation. And furthermore, Daniel also adds another 45 days to the whole, making it 1,335 days. Now let us concentrate on the added 30 days. I want to tell you a beautiful story behind it. The question is, should we place the 30 days at the beginning, the end, or in the middle somewhere of the last 3.5 years? And what would be the purpose of these extra 30 days? Now, the majority of modern day commentators place these 30 days at the end of the tribulation along with the extra 45 days and see them as one 75-day interval in between the tribulation and the millennium as a time and place for the judgment of the nations, as we read this judgment in Matthew 25, the sheep and the goats. However, Daniel divides these 75 days into 30 and 45 days, and most ancient rabbis and church fathers place the 30 days before the tribulation and the 45 days after the tribulation. Ibn Ezra, a well-known medieval rabbi, saw it before the destruction of the temple, before the abomination of desolation mentioned in Daniel 12, verse 7. He saw it also as a future event. Jerome, in the 5th century, also puts it first or within the last 3.5 years. And he says, and I quote, "For he is going to persecute the saints for 3.5 years, or 1,290 days. For him, the text here gives a more exact duration." If they are right, where can we find these 30 extra days to come up to 1,290 days? Is there a floating month somewhere in the Hebrew calendar we can find and add that within the 3.5 years? Yes, there is one 30 days actually when we consider the leap year of the Hebrew calendar. Okay, follow me, it is worth it. This calendar, which is a lunar solar calendar, adds an extra lunar month 7 times each cycle of 19 years. So this month is called Adar Aleph or Adar Rishon and may represent this extra month. But what might be the purpose of having this extra month added right there? Perhaps this additional time will give opportunity for the Jewish believers to flee, to escape to the mountains, to Petra or Bozrah, before the effect of the abomination of desolation actually begins. Remember what Jesus says, the warning that we find in Matthew 24, 15 to 16. He says, "Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand." And he's referring to our place here in Daniel 12, 11 to 12. And verse 16, he says, "Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains." One will find it very hard to flee in time of actual war. So perhaps a time will be given for the Jewish believers to flee during these 30 days. Perhaps those fleeing will take further courage, knowing that the Messianic Jews of the 1st century also had a bubble of time, that is, to escape Jerusalem before the onslaught of the Romans and the destruction of the Second Temple when they read the prophecy of Jesus. So historians have written about the escape of the Messianic Jews to a city called Pella. So this extra month given by Daniel, which he inserted within the last 2.5 years of the tribulation, may very well be a time of escape for the Jewish remnant in Israel. When the abomination of desolation begins, the exact time when Yeshua tells them to flee For as we read in Revelation 12:12, the devil has come down to you having great wrath, knowing that he has only a short time. And so God protects the remnant of Israel at the time by giving them to flee. And this we read also in Revelation 12:14, so that she, that is Israel, could fly into the wilderness to her place where she was nourished for a time and times and half at times from the presence of the serpent, that is 3.5 years. Now I understand that all this may sound very complicated, but it is worth putting the time into these things, for there we see the goodness of the Lord and how present he will be in the tribulation time, as he is every time a believer suffers, right? And so this is a great illustration of his presence.